What's up, bros, and welcome to another tier list video. So today I'm going to be rating / ranking every LEGO Ninjago Crystalized minifigure, so let's get down to business. Now first, let's start off with the main Ninja Crystalized suits. So first let's start with Cole. Now the Cole Crystalized suit is pretty awesome. I'm immediately going to be putting this minifigure in A tier. It's really dope. Next up we have the main Crystalized Lloyd suit. Now this minifigure is also really dope, just like the Cole one. I'm going to be putting this minifigure in B. I don't think it's as special as Cole, so that's why I'm not going to be giving it an A like the Cole minifigure, so yeah. Next up we have the Crystalized J main minifigure. Now this minifigure is also okay. I do think that this one also, just like Lloyd, isn't as good as the Cole Crystalized suit, so I'm going to be throwing it in B. And the same goes for the main Crystalized Kai minifigure. It's nothing too special. Yeah, it's also going to go in B. Now for the last main Crystalized Ninja minifigure, we have the main Crystalized Zane minifigure. Now this minifigure is interesting. I want to put it in A, but I think I'm going to go with B because it's just like the rest of the Ninjago Crystalized Ninja suits. So next up we have the new Samurai X Nia minifigure from Crystalized. This minifigure is pretty interesting. The leg printing and the torso printing is exceptional. I'm going to be putting this minifigure in B. It's interesting, it's not that good, but it's not that bad either. Next up we have the Mr. F minifigure. Now this Mr. F minifigure honestly isn't that interesting. The torso and the legs and the armor piece are all reused. So is the helmet, but I'm going to be putting this minifigure in C. Next up we have the newest Pythor minifigure that was made for Ninjago Crystalized. Now this minifigure is alright. The torso and the armor are all reused, I'm pretty sure, but the snake serpent tail piece and the Pythor new headpiece are both really interesting, so I think we're going to be putting this minifigure in B. It's pretty dope. Next up we have the Skylar minifigure for Ninjago Crystalized. Now this minifigure is really interesting. The head is pretty cool. It has an extra face print on the back of the head, which is similar to the Island Lloyd minifigure with like the war print and everything. The only problem with this minifigure is it kind of lacks leg printing, which is why I'm going to be putting this minifigure in C. If it had leg printing, I would 100% put it in B, or maybe even A, because the torso printing is really dope. And next up we have the Oni Lloyd minifigure. Now this minifigure is really awesome. The torso and leg printing are really high quality, and the helmet Oni print is awesome as well. The only problem with this minifigure is the fact that it's not really accurate to the show. I mean, in the show, Lloyd had 4 arms in his Oni form, so that's the only disappointing part of this minifigure. I'm going to be putting this minifigure in A because of how cool it looks and how it has really awesome printing. The only reason I'm not putting it in S tier is because, well, it's not accurate. Then we have the new Asphira minifigure for Crystalized. This minifigure is, in my opinion, the worst Council of the Crystal King minifigure. The tail, all they did was just use a ghost tail, which doesn't really fit Asphira because she has a serpent tail. She's one of the serpentine. I'm going to be giving this minifigure a D. Then we have the Mechanic minifigure for Crystalized. Now, this minifigure, it's alright. The torso, the legs, and the armor are all reused for the other Council of the Crystal King members. I'm going to be putting this minifigure in D. It's going to join the Sphera. Both of these are probably the worst Council of the Crystal King minifigures in my opinion. Next up we have the Oni Garmadon minifigure. Now this Oni Garmadon minifigure is really dope. The torso and the legs are really accurate and it has some really menacing and evil looking printing. I'm going to be putting this minifigure in A tier. I was thinking about putting it in B, but I think it deserves an A. Next up we have the little Nelson minifigure from Crystalized. This minifigure, there's not too much to talk about. It has the really interesting hood piece, which is reused from the Hidden Side theme, and the torso printing with the jacket is really dope, and the head print is really cool. It has like 2 head prints on the head, and one of them has this really cool techno looking mask, which is really interesting. I'm going to be putting this minifigure in B. It's just that good. Then we have the Crystal Rock Vengestone monsters, which are like the main CGI goons that are used for Ninjago. Now there are 3 versions of this minifigure in the Crystalized wave. One's called the Vengestone Brute, the Vengestone Guard, and the Vengestone Warrior. I'm going to count all these three as the same minifigures because they only just have like different armor or added printing on the torso or different legs or something, so they're basically the same minifigure. I'm going to be putting all three of these minifigures in C. They're all pretty dope. They're not too bad. They're not too good either. Just okay, I guess. Then we have the Vangelis minifigure from the Crystalized sets. Now, this minifigure, it's just a bunch of reused parts. I'm going to be putting this minifigure in B. It's alright. Then we have the Sensei Wu minifigure from Crystalized. Now, this minifigure is really dope. They brought back the old dragon armor mold for Wu, which is pretty good, accurate to the show and everything. The torso and the leg printing for this minifigure is also dope as well. There's not too much to talk about in terms of this minifigure, so I'm just gonna throw it in C. It's pretty good. Now, let's get into the second batch of normal Crystalized ninja suits. First, let's start off with J. The torso and leg printing are all pretty decent. This minifigure I think deserves a C. But for the Cole minifigure, I'm going to be putting that in B. It has some really dope printing. The gold, the black, and the orange mixed together is just really cool. For Kai, I'm also going to be putting him in C alongside J. It's nothing too interesting. The torso and leg printing are all okay. Now for Zane, I'm also going to be putting him in C. The torso and leg printing are all okay, and I just think they're a bit too similar to the hero suits, which is why all these suits are just not that good in my opinion. Then we have the Harumi minifigure from Crystalized. This minifigure it's okay. The torso and legs are all reused, I'm pretty sure, but the hair and the head, well, the hair is reused, but the head print, I'm pretty sure, is a little different compared to the old Harumi minifigures. I'm going to be putting this minifigure in D. It's okay. Now let's get into the dragon ninja suits. Well, not technically suits. Those are like some sort of new energy form. I don't really know how to explain it, but in the show, they're pretty cool. Now first, let's start off with Zane. Now, the Zane Golden Dragon minifigure, in my opinion, is the best out of all the Golden Dragon minifigures. I'm going to be throwing this minifigure in S. I think it deserves an S. I mean, the clear parts and everything mixed with the gold is just really dope. For Kai, I'm going to be putting him in A. It looks really cool, but I just don't think it's as good as the Zane one. Same goes for J. I'm also going to be putting it in A. It's not as good as the Zane one in my opinion, and I think some people might also agree. Now for the Cole one, the Cole one is pretty interesting. It's alright, I'm going to be putting it in A as well. Now for the last Crystalized minifigure, we have the Crystal King, or basically the Overlord. I'm going to be instantly putting this minifigure in S. I don't think there's any way they could have made this minifigure better. LEGO did a really good job on this minifigure. The secret head print that they have underneath the Oni mask mold is just pure evil, really menacing. The legs, the torso, and the upper torso all have really interesting printing. What else more do I have to say? It's just a really dope minifigure. Instant S tier. But anyway, that's going to be it for this tier list video. I know a lot of you are probably going to disagree with some of these ratings or rankings for this tier list, and I respect your opinions, and if you have any objections with any of these ratings, leave a comment and maybe we can chat about it. But yeah, feel free to check out my other videos. I mostly make mocks and of course custom minifigures. Have a great day. See you, bros.